The order is the Russia advantage, followed by the Latin America advantage, followed by exclude Jordan.
It's Russia, but you're killing me. So, MS-13 and then what?
Rules, if you know, you're
Latin America.
And then Jordan.
The count.
What was second?
What
What's
was,
after Russia?
Latin America.
Okay.
All the way on the other side of the world.
Apparently
Anyone
only
not ready?
accessible through the
Not
camera.
ready.
That's right.
Ready.
Okay. Russia advantage, concede all their impact defense. Likewise for all the other advantages. Go to the remittances link turn argument. They have made the argument that after the plan there will be more remittances. They said that once all those people come into the United States, they get really excited and said more remittances back. I'll show you this card right here. It says turn. The one in ours said turn at least 5 times when he extended this argument. Indicates there will be double remittances. It means the plan causes more remittances. It can only link turn the Jordan advantage, which is the only impact that is left in the debate. Now go to the exclude Jordan counterpoint. The plan is the only way to increase remittances to Jordan because the counterpoint excludes it, means there will be less remittances. You're probably wondering, is there uniqueness argument? I'll admit we do not have fantastic uniqueness evidence. However, there is link should control the direction of uniqueness. The plan is critical to cause a massive increase in remittances to Jordan. If the situation in Jordan is unstable and on the brink, then a massive increase in remittances is probably important. If Jordan is critical to the war on terror, Jordan's critical to stability and on the brink now, it's only a risk those increases would be valuable. Uniqueness is inherently uncertain, even if you conclude that none of their evidence indicates even the slightest possibility of collapse. You should recognize that as a debater, you can't really know the answer to this question. There's only a risk that maybe the Jordanian economy might collapse someday, in which case the plan's increase in remittances over the counterpoints is probably somewhat at least of a good idea, which is really the only argument we would ever need to win in order to win the debate. Now go to the permutation to do the counterpoint. There's a framing issue here which they have not answered. The two CUC arguments that Kathy used to justify the permutation. This argument dictates one error strategy because it means that in addition to this double turn, I have a feasible option, which is a unique reason why you should not allow new to win arguments because it dictates one error strategy. First is the prizes argument that was made that saying you will give prizes at the door does not mean you give prizes to everyone. Here's an example. UC Berkeley does not subject its students to background checks on applications. That does not mean that if Bin Laden's cousin were to apply, they wouldn't apply him to a background check. It's a general statement of policy, not one that applies to all. His argument that he crosswise here from the critique proves this argument because every time he tries to explain how this would operate, he's forced to insert words like all or entire. None of these are in the plain text for a reason because the plan is critical to are in the plan for a reason. That means we straight turned their better plan writing argument because we wrote a plan that ought not link to their arguments. He also makes the argument on the critique about best policy option, but that begs the question of what the policy option of the plan was. If we win this argument, that was never included within the policy option of the plan. Another way to think about it is if we gave coupons for vegetables, you would not go to a store and be like, I have this coupon for vegetables, and they're like, well, this doesn't apply to this new exotic radish we got, and you're like, well, wait, why didn't I get that? Or if you went to a baseball game and the baseball game was advertising they gave away season tickets and you went to the game but didn't get a season ticket, you wouldn't complain because you know that prize was something that was inherently not given to everyone, even though they said we are giving prizes to people who attend the baseball game. These are logical arguments. There's no reason why the plan should be tied to them. Second is that their interpretation is horrible debate because A requires that you assume that any time the affirmative does not specify the issue, it necessarily includes the word all. Here's an example. If the plan included the possibility of giving it to all immigrants, then that would necessarily include the possibility of giving it to immigrants who have some alien disease I've never heard of or who have bird flu, and they could have a counterplan that excludes the possibility of giving bird flu. It's impossible for the affirmative to generate offense against this argument because it would only exclude 1 or 2 immigrants. We could never have a reason why those immigrants would be critical. It's also necessarily a rigged game against the affirmative because they could write the counterpoint text so that the only people that would be excluded would be people who have a virus that would exterminate everyone. And if there is no one that have the virus, then the counterpoint's the same as the plan, means we definitionally could not win a solvency deficit against such a counterpoint because they could rig the game so that it would be impossible for them to win. This outweighs all of their arguments because all of their arguments presume a world in which debate is good. If the affirmative has no shot at debate, it doesn't matter if the issue we're debating about is valuable because that debate has no clash, which is a fundamental prerequisite for education. Also, you should err affirmative on all of these arguments for a couple reasons. First, the negative has horrible access to counterpoints in the status quo. Multiple counterpoints are generally accepted, which is a reason why they probably have enough flexibility. They also have counterpoints that test a variety of different parts of the resolution in terms of process, like parole, which is very difficult to answer. The topic is inherently negative bias as well because of the question of a visa. A visa is just a stamp in the passport. It's something that's very, very hard for the affirmative to defend, which is a reason why giving them additional counterpoints like these sort of things is totally unnecessary. It's already hard enough for the affirmative to defend the visa as a process. There's no reason why they should also have to defend the visa to every single possible person or any one of 182 possible countries. Now, they also make an argument. Also, their argument their specificity arguments are also linked by his own claims on Jordan. They don't have Jordan-specific evidence per se. They have evidence that says Jordan, but it just applies a generic theory to Jordan. It does not indicate that Jordan is different from any of the other arguments, which proves why this counterpoint is not uniquely educational. It just gives the negative excuse to say, look, we are the only ones with specific evidence, while avoiding the core debate about whether or not remittances are good or bad, because the affirmative should not be expected to have uniqueness and link evidence for 182 countries for every single affirmative. Now, their arguments, they say that the counterpoint is textually competitive. This may be good, but if the counterpoint have to be textually and functionally competitive, the counterpoint is not functionally competitive. That's the argument they have. They say it's functionally competitive. That presumes that they include the word all, which is something they have not done. They say it's critical because of remittances, but that is no, I don't even need that argument. Okay, go to the last permutation. This permutation is the permutation that is the plain text, comma, limited to Jordan. The comma and means that the second part of it clarifies what the first part is. So we don't apply it, but we clarify that that means it is limited to Jordan. This is just like the Ben Laden example. It explains the one situation in which it might not apply. And the permutation is totally legitimate because the counterpoint is more than the plan. It includes the clarification that it might someday apply to Jordan. Just like the plan did not exclude the possibility of of limiting it to Jordan, just like UC Berkeley did not exclude the possibility of not applying its terrorist standards to Osama bin Laden's cousin. There is no reason why the plan precluded the possibility of applying it to Jordan. His only argument here is a cross-application. You did not explicitly answer the permutation. You should punish the 2NR for not explicitly answering this argument because it is another argument that dictates our strategy. Kathy, you got anything else?
No.
Even if they win arguments about why the plain text on its face were problematic and why we shouldn't be able to permute the counterpoint, this permutation is a clarification of the plan, which means unless you conclude that the plain text literally makes impossible the clarification, not just that it might not mean the clarification, then it is a reason to vote affirmative. This is time to radically change your calculus because it's not a question of what the plan meant, it's a question of could the plan possibly not include this clarification, because they have conceded that the clarification is legitimate so long as it is not severance, which they have not really made an argument about.
The uniqueness argument, to answer it, you should extend the cross-ex stuff about how it's...
Oh, and extend the cross-section stuff about how their structural forms are not succeeding and about how that stuff is key, and the World Bank stuff, which also proves that's probably a risk.
What was the last argument you just made?
There's probably a risk between your evidence about reform is not absolute as the evidence in the process.
You gotta be faster, Kathy.
The last argument, which one of us made?
What was that? What is it again?
How much time do we have left?
You're at 7:49. You got a timer going?
Oh, no, sorry.
You're now at 7:38.
No, I said that at the top.
Okay.
Done.
And I'm leaving.